I lean into the cold and think of the pale promise locked in winter. Though it is the dying of summer, the quietly encroaching cold hiding in leaves, it holds the expectancy of spring. A diminuendo of green sadly passes, but will keep warm the winter long and clutch the memory of warmth in our hearts. Though spring promises nothing of herself in returns, and summer swears no shrift of conscience in its leave-taking, we sing. We may come to regret that we rued the florid heat of summer, even as it slips always away again. We may yet sing of birth and rebirth, as the new grass lights the air and meadow birds sing with us. Winter groans in sheets of ice and burdens of snow, but in that voice we hear the promise of spring. With mittened hands cupped against the cold, we sing of life and light again the candles of hope. There are those who simply never choose a path. They know that neither extreme is balanced, but they cannot find the middle path, and so they become frozen in a stasis of indecision. Distracted by anything and following the whims of the day, they seek to fill the emptiness with any passing fancy. They too seek the genie, but they do not know why, and so become lost. Even with unmoving eyes they see me. They would eat me alive if they could. I often think of my very first memory as a child. It was the spring thaw, when the blankets of snow began to melt, the sun shined its warmth, and the birds began to sing again. In my mother's frozen garden was a stone that had cracked, buckled by the cold, and there in the crack was a single tiny white flower, a bloom of only 4 petals. It bravely opened to face the world and greet the sun, as if in defiance of death itself. I knelt by the little snowflower and wondered at it. Here was life in the midst of frozen nothingness. It seemed precarious, tender, so unlikely in its setting. But there must be some hidden strength in it, to have emerged here, overcoming the elements and the odds. It seems a fortunate incident of nature, like life itself, perhaps not magical, but wonderful that it has occurred. Even at that age, the flower made me ponder the teachings of the shamans. They told of how the world is dreamed up by the sleeping gods, and that when we die, we will join them in their dream of paradise and live forever. But I have seen birth and death, and know that they are different. I witness the workings of the world and think it natural, not the magical dreaming of imaginary gods. I cannot tell my thoughts to anyone. They would think me blasphemous, or even mad, to question the shamans. They would think I had lost sight of the truth, of the mysterious, magical workings of life itself. They would think me irreverent, at the very least. But it is not so. Considering the triumph of the tiny flower in the midst of a frozen garden, I have a profound reverence for the unlikely presence of life. To say that life is simply magic is, to me, of less value than if it developed as an inevitability in the infinite spans of time, and gained a foothold enough to thrive against all the odds. Life is a champion of chance. There is more awe and wonder in this truth than to simply dismiss it as the providence of some great and mystical unknowable. It is made all the more special by its unlikelihood.